Sit down with Malik Wright, presented by First Star Logistics. As we do after every single Bengals game, we are here to recap, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. We're here to discuss it all. But before we do, make sure you guys do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live from the First Star Logistics studio when we upload content. With that being said, Daniel, the um, Bengals lost a tough one today versus Tennessee Titans. Wasn't too much to take away from a positive standpoint. Looked like they took 10 steps back from the victory against the Rams Monday Night Football, and really not a lot to hang our hat on, if you will. You know, we thought the Bengals would be sitting here 2-2, heading into a game with the Arizona Cardinals that we viewed as winnable. Now we're looking at it as this is a situation in which it's not as that winnable. The Cardinals are a tough matchup, right? But before we jump into all that, because there's going to be time for us to jump and talk about all that, we got to discuss the loss. Daniel, I want to hear what your thoughts are, on the way the Bengals looked against Tennessee Titans. Because I could start off by saying right now, I feel bad for Bengals fans.
Yeah.
This is the product that the Bengals are putting on the football field, and there's a lot that goes into it. Some people will scream Joe Burrow's calf. Some people will say it's the defense. Some people will say it's the coaches. I certainly have my thoughts on what it is, and we're going to talk about it. But Daniel, I'm going to let you kick this one off.
So I think it's very simple that first off, we start off having this conversation that we're being critical of the team because we're allowed to, right? The Bengals are 1-3. You guys are allowed to be critical of the team. And just because we're saying, what we're saying, just because we're speaking the facts doesn't mean that we believe the season's over. And it also doesn't mean that we believe the Bengals will win the Super Bowl. So my thoughts on this game, man, is this is putrid. This was putrid, man. 3 points against the Tennessee Titans. Respectfully, you put up 1 to 2 good drives, and after that offense, it looked like the same thing. And that's the part that's frustrating for myself, and I'm sure for all Bengals fans, is we got a glimpse of it right away, Malik. We got a glimpse of it. The offense was rolling. Jamar Chase was getting involved. T. Higgins was getting involved. Joe Mixon looked like the best running back we've seen what the Bengals have in recent memory. So that's the frustrating part because the pieces are there, right? Trey Hendrickson balling out. The defense at times putting the pieces together. Miles Murphy having his first career sack. And then you look at the stat sheet. Joe Burrow, 165 total yards. Joe Mixon played good, but besides, Jamar Chase got involved. So my thoughts, man, is the season is still possible. You can still turn it around. You got the Cardinals next week. You got the Seahawks the following week. You still have time to turn it around. But at the end of the day, you got to put together 4 full quarters. So if I can pinpoint one thing, I mean, you can't really pinpoint one, but the offense just putrid. You have to be the reason why you're winning games. You can't rely on your defense respectfully. You're paying Joe Burrow all that money. You've got Jamar Chase. You've got the talent on offense. So whether Joe Burrow, and this is also my last thing I'll say, I'm tired of hearing people say, well, Joe Burrow's calf. You've got the weapons to still do it. If it's Joe Burrow's calf, put Jake Browning out there. Do something different. You can't just, always blame it on the injury. Sure, we can say that's part of the reason why the offense isn't looking as good. Sure, we can say that's the reason why Joe Burrow isn't looking as good, but scheme around it. Brock Purdy looking great. All these other quarterbacks, you're scheming around it. And you schemed around it for 2 drives. You got Jamar Chase in motion. You started using the Dolphins motion where, you have the Jamar Chase, and as soon as the guys, as soon as snaps going, you put them in motion again. So the offense, I just need to see more creativity. And you just got, 3 points. I'm at a loss for words, but
look, I'm not at a loss for words.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you like this. The defense, of course, is going to have its struggles. Obviously, when you have an offense that is stagnant out there, an offense that can't move the football. Here's my issue. Let's deal in reality first. Zach Taylor's not getting fired.
Yep.
Let's start there. There's a lot of Bengals fans out there that are clamoring for Zach Taylor's firing. That's not happening. This guy took the Bengals to a Super Bowl. This is not a cop-out. It's just how the Bengals organization view it. But I think there needs to be a serious conversation had about him calling plays. Okay?
Yep.
There needs to be a serious conversation that needs to be happening about calling plays. It's the reason why when people become head coaches, whether that be a defensive-minded coach or an offensive-minded coach, they give up play calling duties because they realize they could have too much on their plate. 100% Zach Taylor's in over his head
Yep.
from a play calling standpoint. This isn't something that's new either. This is something that we've been screaming even the year that the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. How many times in the Zach Taylor era have the Bengals entered, got out of the first quarter essentially with no points, got out of the first half with no points, relying on comebacks consistently with an offense that is so star-studded and talented. To put up 3 points twice this season against the Browns, against the Titans is absolutely abysmal. Then you look over to the counterpart of Zach Taylor, a guy by the name of Sean McVay, finds a way to put up points with receivers with the likes of Puka Nacua, right?
Yeah.
You got Jamar Chase, who should be putting up those same gaudy numbers we see Justin Jefferson put up. The fact of the matter is, it's horrible. It's bad. And I don't think the answer is on the Bengals coaching staff. Brian Callahan isn't a good play caller. I'm just being honest with you.
No.
Zach Taylor isn't a good play caller. And I struggle to see the upside Dan Pitcher brings as well to the table, just to be completely honest with you. I think the Bengals need an entirely new mind in that building. I think the Bengals need somebody that actually can scheme an offense open. Todd Haley would do more with this offense than this coaching staff has done from an offensive standpoint. I'm going to get to the defense, but from an offensive standpoint, Todd Haley would do more with this offense. I think there's a lot of coordinators out there that would do better than with this offense, to be quite completely honest with you guys. I mean, it takes armchair coaches, right? People that are sitting on their couches watching to say, why aren't we motioning Jamar Chase more? Why aren't we seeing more movement pre-snap?
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing more things to get people get our weapons open? And that's a real conversation that needs to be had. It doesn't always have to just center around Jamar Chase. It could be Tyler Boyd. It could be Joe Mixon. It could be Tanner Hudson, whoever the hell the players out there. Because guess what? In the National Football League, especially today's day and age, there's no way in hell you should be putting up 3 points. It's unacceptable with an offensive loaded team. And guess what? If the excuse is Joe Burrow's calf, I'm sorry, he shouldn't be out there.
Yep.
If his calf is that bad, right?
Yep.
He should not be out there. I don't care if that means the Bengals lose the next 7 games. If his calf is that bad that you can't put together a sufficient offense, he shouldn't be out there. Because to your point, Brock Purdy and so many different offensive weapons,
Sam Howell
are putting up points, right? It's the same conversation, if you really think about it, that we're having with Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson and the Jets not able to put up points, not able to move the ball, not able to get first downs. Same thing with the Patriots and Mac Jones, not able to move the ball, not able to, there is no creativity with this offense. There's no offensive identity. And people tried to tell me going into this year, okay, they don't have an identity. They don't have any identity. They don't know what they're doing. The identity is to sit back and throw chuck plays to your weapons. The fact of the matter is this is downright embarrassing. And the reason why Bengals fans, you guys have a reason to be pissed. The reason why they are upset is because the expectations were higher. The expectations were higher. At some point, you can't let your ego get in the way of this team winning a championship. And I have to believe at this point, that's what Zach Taylor and company are doing. Because guess what? Even a broken watch is right twice a day. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the issue that we're seeing here. I think that's the issue that we're seeing here. You have to be able to put your ego aside for the betterment of this football team. There's a guy by the name of John Fox. I want to tell you guys a story about John Fox real quick. John Fox was the head coach of the Denver Broncos. John Fox, players liked him. Players had a lot of good things to say about John Fox. John Fox took the Denver Broncos to the Super Bowl. John Fox lost in the Super Bowl, probably one of the most lopsided Super Bowl victories that we've seen in history to the Seattle Seahawks. But let me read to you guys John Fox's record as the Denver Broncos head coach. John Fox's record as the Denver Broncos head coach: 2011, 8-8. 2012, 13-3. 2013, 13-3. 2014, 12-4. That's the year that they went to the Super Bowl. I believe that was the year they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Then they wound up losing to the Seattle Seahawks. He was fired. They brought a guy in by the name of Gary Kubiak. The next year, Gary Kubiak won a Super Bowl with Brock Osweiler, Peyton Manning splitting time. The reason why I bring that up is because that was a guy that was able to get the most out of the talent that he had. So no, I am not calling for Zach Taylor's firing, but at some point, if you're inept as a coach, at some point, if you're not willing to step out of your own way, this organization has got to do what's best for them. Somebody needs to pull the guy to the side and say, hey, listen, play calling is not your thing. It wasn't his thing at UC. And I know that's not a popular thing to say. It wasn't a popular thing it wasn't his thing at UC. It wasn't his thing with the Rams because he wasn't a play caller for the Rams. He was a quarterback's coach. That's how he got his chops. It wasn't his thing in short term as the interim offensive coordinator with the Joe Philbin led staff in Miami. And what do you know? It's not his thing in Cincinnati. I think Zach Taylor is a fine coach. I think he's a fine leader of men. I think from an X's and O's standpoint, it is not working. And Jamar Chase is the only person. Credit to Jamar, because there are fans out there that are upset with Jamar. He's not a diva. They're a fan. He's the only person that's calling it out.
Yep.
Saying that there's basically nothing. The fact of the matter is there's no growth in year 5, bro. There's no growth in year 5. Yeah. And you know what's crazy? People talk so much crap about Eric Bieniemy, right? Eric Bieniemy's got that boy Sam Howell playing. He's got them boys playing. Now, I don't think that they're good. I don't think Sam Howell's good.
30 points against the Eagles.
Come on, man. 30 points against the Eagles. Bengals are struggling to get past the 50-yard line. Like there's more meat on the bone. There's more on the plate, man. And that's the part that's frustrating because the Bengals are getting in their own way. And it sucks because, you know, Bengals fans were confident all season. Bengals fans were confident all season, and they said all off season, and they said, yo, this is our year. This is our year to get it done, right? And they had right to be confident. They had a right to be confident, right?
Yeah.
But the Bengals team is not giving them nothing to be confident about. You ask the Bengals fan base to pack the stadiums. They pack the stadiums, right? The moment the Bengals experience an ounce of success, right? An ounce of success, what happened? They raising parking prices and ticket prices and all this crap. And so for you know, the loyal people that were coming to the games before you can't even afford to go to games anymore, right? The reason why I'm bringing it up is because you asked this fan base to do their part. Yeah. You asked them to show up. You asked them to wear white. You asked them to do all this great stuff, man. Keep believing. And this is the product that y'all put on the football field. People are spending their hard-earned money. So yes, they have a right to criticize this organization. They have a right to keep it real. They have a right to be upset because you're asking them to do all these things and jump through all these loops and all these holes for this team and this organization. And this is the product that they're putting on the football field. You know how much people spend to travel to games and stuff? Like, I'm getting down to the real. The stuff people don't want to talk about, right? I'll talk about it. The fact of the matter is the product the Bengals are putting on the football field is not winning. I'm just being real. The product the Bengals are putting on the football field is absolutely trash. It's ass. I'm just being honest. Yep. Somebody's got to say it. No, this is not the Andy Dalton era. This is not. This is like Bill Lazor. This is Ken Zampese level stuff. Right? It's bad. It's bad. Hold on for a second. It's bad. Yeah. It's bad. Yeah. It's bad. I'm pissed just like the rest of the Bengals, just like the rest of the Bengals fan base tune in. Listen, you're not going to silence me. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And the fact of the matter is, the Bengals fan base should be pissed right now, man. This is a team that we all thought was going to a championship to start the season, man. This is the team that we all thought had championship aspiration. Listen, I'm not bagging on Andy, but about Andy Dalton and what he did in the years he started for the Bengals, but I'm calling a spade a spade. It is what it is. You knew what you had in him. It's like you knew what you had in Ken Zampese as the offensive coordinator, and we know what we got in Zach Taylor as an offensive play caller. To be naive to that is ridiculous. It's bad. Go ahead, Daniel.
No, real quick. I just want to read off some stats. The Bengals are dead last in total points per game, 12.3 points per game. The Bengals are currently the 4th worst passing offense. The only 3 that they're better than: the Giants, the Jets, and the Falcons. And rushing offense are the worst in the entire NFL. And total yards per game on offense, the only teams they're better than is one. And that's the team that's playing tonight, the New York Jets, led by Zach Wilson. So my frustration also, just look at who played the Titans this year. The Browns put up 27. The Chargers put up 24. The Saints put up 16. The Bengals put up 3 on the first drive of the game. The most scripted drive, the thing that, Malik, respectfully, I think you could go into the organization and script up 5-10 plays right away, right now, go in, show that to the offense, and they'd score. Your scripted plays, that's what led you to score. That should say a lot. Respectfully, you had, 10 drives? 10 drives, and all of them were punts and fumbles besides the first one. So, man, it's just frustrating. And the hard part, the part for me that really sucks, like you said, you can look at these other teams. How are they in the same conversation with the Jets and the Giants and the Falcons? That's ridiculous. Respectfully. And the part you brought up, how Jamar Chase is being real. That should show you fans, like, if fans are trying to make excuses for, the organization, for the coach staff, for this offense, look at Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is an honest guy, but he's the guy who's directly correlated to the offense. So he's talking to the coaches, he's talking to the receiver, he's talking to the quarterback, and he's still going to go out and say what he said because he's frustrated.
Well, I think the fact that you got players willing to speak up and be upset is because it shows they're not comfortable with losing. They're not comfortable rolling over. They come from winning programs. They're used to winning, and that has been the standard here in Cincinnati. But my thing is, it almost reminds me, like, my brother was top quarterback for our high school. He went out with an injury, and the team went in shambles. The coach didn't know how to coach anymore offensively at that. And it feels like this is similar. I don't think Joe Burrow all of a sudden is bad. No. I don't think Joe Burrow's a bad quarterback, but I do think at some point the coaching staff has to do things to help him be better and help him be successful. It's funny, right? Well, it's not funny, but it's real. What made the Bengals be able to beat the Tennessee Titans in the past was they went behind their run game, but they had quick passes. Now that they have this new offensive line, right, with Orlando Brown and Jonah Williams at right tackle, the fact of the matter is I think they kind of started believing that they had this identity of where they could hold the ball a lot longer. The Titans have always had a good pass rush against us, and it feels bad. I feel bad because the comments coming out of today won't be, hey, the offense just was sputtering out of control. It will be the offensive line and all this kind of stuff. But they were getting home on blitzes.
Yep, they
were getting home on majority of their blitzes, and I think the fact of the matter is disappointing, man. I think it's disappointing to see the way things have just fallen by the wayside, to be quite honest with you, man. And I think that, and I want to get to Tristan's question. Tristan Quinn said, I also feel like us Bengals fans have gotten cocky. I'm one, and I'll admit on Twitter at games and everything, we just think we're best for these last 2 years. We don't have a ring. Hear me out though, Tristan. You probably are cooking a little bit, brother, but I'm gonna be honest with you too. This fan base have a reason to be proud of their team. I'm not ready. Like regardless at the end of the day, if the fan base is cocky or not, that has nothing to do with the product that the Bengals put on the football field. Like, Patriots fans had the ability to be cocky because their team was winning and they were winning consistently. Yeah. Like the Bengals fan base being cocky on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, has nothing to do with the product the Bengals put on the football field. They still got to go out there and play. It's up to this team to not believe their hype. Now, if we want to talk about maybe the players got cocky or this coaching staff started believing their hype and we thought we were better, we thought we were just going to come out of it, then sure. But the fan base could react however they want to. If the fan base want to be ultra negative, they could be that way. If fan base want to be ultra positive, they could be that way. If the fan base want to think that we're world beaters, they could be that way. Again, they're not the ones shooting up on Sundays or Thursdays or Mondays playing on the football field. It's up to these players. It's up to the coaching staff to put together a plan. I want to know what's going on in practice. I want to know what's going on to put this type of product on the field, because it's awful. It's bad. Yeah. It's bad. To put up 3 points against Tennessee is bad. It's putrid. Mind you, Tennessee Titans were missing some people in the secondary today. Yeah. We're not talking about a Tennessee football team that has an elite secondary, has some type of elite defense.
They've been getting torched. Amari Cooper torched them. Last week, Deshaun Watson torched them. 27 points. And it's ridiculous because there's glimpses of it, right? Yeah. We see the quick RPO to Tyler Boyd. Okay, you see the quick RPO, quick passes, and then it's the same thing. If Joe Burrow can't pass the ball, if he can't drive into his throws, then make the adjustment, right? Then make the adjustment. We saw on Monday night, we were there. Joe Burrow wasn't himself. Okay, so if he's not himself, do something different. Don't have him drop back.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's just frustrating because it seems like they're in the limbo of, all right, we want to do what we normally do, right? We want to play the deep pass. We want to, do what we normally do, but they're barely running the play action. They're like, you establish the run, great. Then you go away from it. You don't run play action. You getting the quick passes involved, then you stop doing it. It seems like they don't know what they're doing in the sense of the consistency standpoint. And my biggest frustration with this game is we saw the first drive, and I believe even the second drive, there were glimpses, and then they went away from it.
Yeah, I think I think that this, you know, that's what the double-edged sword was when Zach let this help lead this team to the Super Bowl. Was you knew that there was a consequence that came with it. We all knew that there was a deficiency, but the I think the hope was you would start to see this offense. And I speak of offense because he's an offensive-minded coach.
Yes.
The hope was you would start to see the offense take strides. So you knew when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, no matter what came with it, win, loss, like you knew that you knew that it wasn't like a finished product yet. And you knew that we kind of got there by the skim of our teeth, if we're being honest. And I think we're all seeing it now. I think that there's a lot to it. I think that I think for sure in the offseason there needs to be some conversations about bringing a true offensive mind here and letting Zach focus on the actual coaching side of things from a head coaching standpoint, where he can focus on the offense, defense, and just managing the game, right? From that type of mindset. To talk about the defense, man, the defense looked like it fell off a cliff a little bit. Tackling was poor. And when I put that tweet out, man, I said, you know, this reminds me of 2018, 2019 Bengals defense, where we couldn't tackle. We struggled with things laterally. It was just bad, but I'm not going to bag on too much on the defense because the defense has been carrying this football team for the majority of the Zach Taylor era. Certainly they're allowed to have a bad Sunday, right? It's not acceptable, but certainly they're going to have, they're not, it can't have every game be perfect. That being said, you'd like to see the tackling be shored up. That's not something that we're accustomed to. I would say that I thought that Lou in his when he went out there and grabbed players, he did a good job of grabbing players that were short tacklers, players that wrapped up, because that was one of our biggest issues. So to see that kind of rear its ugly head again, man, that was very just downright disappointing. You could also kiss head coaching candidates goodbye. From Brian's standpoint and Lou's standpoint, that ain't happening, right? So I think that this football team, I think a lot of it, you know, you heard a lot of stuff when it came out. You know, you heard a lot of stuff when it came out. It was like, oh, he was upset at not being about being a head coach and yada, yada, yada. None of that crap matters anymore. It's time to go back to work with construction boots and a hard hat and figure out how to right the ship, right? And I think if you can't find a way to put together a game plan to beat Arizona, you're in hot water. And that goes for everyone across the board, right? This is bad. So, man, I'm disappointed, to be honest with you guys. I just think that like it's more to it than just Joe Burrow's calf, man. It's more to it than Joe Burrow's calf. This is truly just deficiencies from a coaching standpoint, and it needs to be talked about.
Yeah. The 1 point. So 2 things I want to say. The Arizona Cardinals, first off, that's not an easy game. They played every single team this year close. If there's one last thing I want to recap about this game, I want to look at one specific drive. This was the drive for me that kind of told me, okay, this is just not their day. It was in the second quarter. It was 10-3 at this point, right? So you're still down a touchdown. Bengals punt, boom. First down, incomplete pass. Second down, it was the fumble, Tajay Spears, and then he went all the way back around, missed tackle, boom, 20-something yards. At that point, it's like, okay, missed tackling. And then the next play, it was play action. The Bengals were getting killed by play action. And first off, props to the Titans. They were able to establish the run with Derrick Henry and then the play action. But for me, it was just frustrating seeing it was not the most basic play action, but it's like, it's a simple play action and they're getting beat time. I saw 3-4 passes of 20+ yards by the play action. And props to the Titans. They established Derrick Henry. They did exactly what their one pathway to victory was: run Derrick Henry and then play action. And it worked. But that was the moment in the game. It was a 4-play drive, 73 yards.
And listen, like, here's the thing. I'm not going to scream calf injury because, like, what happened last week? Like, the Bengals, Joe Burrow passed for 200-some yards last week, right? Now, he clearly wasn't able to be as mobile as he wanted to be, but there was still a better display offensively than what this was right here.
15 targets for Jamar last week, and what? You give him 9, and
there's just no consistency with the offense, man. With the offense, man, and that falls back on coaching, if you ask me, man. Like, Joe Burrow, I mean, not Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, there's no reason why Jamar Chase shouldn't be getting targets, man. There's no reason why Jamar Chase shouldn't be getting forced, the ball fed to him. Like, and if you don't believe me, go look at the Raiders, man. The Raiders just played a rookie, Aiden O'Connell, that was feeding Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams had like damn near 10 catches today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's just a schematic error, man. Like this coaching staff offensively. I'm not talking about Lou right now. I'm talking about offensively. We gassed them. Myself included. Like, but I think I've always like held the Zach Taylor's fire to the fire. I've always been real about it. But this offensive coaching staff, you were brought in here. Listen, when you hire a coach with a specific skill set, especially when they say, "Hey, I'm taking over this skill set," you expect that side of the ball to at least be good. It's like when Marvin Lewis had the Bengals, he was one of the most sought after Bengals defense coordinators in football and a hot head coaching candidate. He had the Bengals defense playing up to a crazy level at points, right? That's the side of the ball where you don't expect to see dip off. Like Bill Belichick had the Patriots special teams that won them games, right? He was a special teams coach. Zach Taylor was brought in to be this offensive mind, right? And yet and still, we all can look at it. We're like, man, how is this offense not putting up 40 points? But meanwhile, Joshua Dobbs in Arizona is putting up 30, damn near 30 points a game. Josh Dobbs. Yeah. And they have a bottom 5 roster in football. Like, I'm just being on like guys, like this is like, so I'm not, this is not overreaction. I've always felt this way. And I put that stuff aside, bro, to like, just so like, you want to be positive, man. Oh, you want to be positive. So I try not to rip on the offensive coaching staff, especially when things are going right. But I hate to do it when things are going bad, but someone's got to be real, man. Yeah. From an offensive play standpoint, this is, if we're being real, not just this year, going even back to the year Bengals won a Super Bowl, there's never been an offensive identity established in Cincinnati since Zach Taylor took over. There has never been one.
And I think it's as simple as that. And that's where I hope all Bengals fans are watching this and put the pieces together, right? Look at how every year's played out. You touched on the Super Bowl year. Everybody talked about, okay, well, we're going to see some dip off. Why were we going to see some dip off? Because the deep pass, the probability of that repeating year after year was never likely. Then you look at how last year started and put the pieces together. Look at how they are now. Respectfully, all you have to do, go turn on any other team in the NFL, please. Turn on any other team. You can look at the Dolphins. You can look at the 49ers. Those are the glowing examples. And then you turn on the Bengals. You should not expect zero creativity from an offense. You should expect that from Pittsburgh. You should expect that from the Jets with Zach Wilson. You should expect that with the Giants. Okay, but even the Giants, they're still trying to do stuff with Daniel Jones right now. So I think, I hate to sound like it's so simple, but you're making the point, and it's right. There is no offensive identity. It's, okay, we have to, quote unquote, establish the run because we just have to, but we want to pass the ball. Obviously, we want the deep play. But then you go with the quick passes, there's zero offense identity. Yeah. And I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, man. And that's the unfortunate part about it, man, because like I think we all can like look at this and we can see, okay, these are the issues that we're seeing. And it's like, man, like the fact that this coaching staff, they've got to obviously see it too, but it's I think that's probably some of the hardest thing, right? Is looking yourself in the mirror and being able to get out of your own way. And I think that's the issue that we're facing right here. I think that this coaching staff is having a hard time from an offensive standpoint getting out of their own way. This is bad though. This is really bad. Not being able to consistently put up points, especially on the Tennessee Titans, man, is bad, man.
Yeah. And like I look at Joe Mixon, the part that sucks about it is the man's, I'm not going to say having a career year, but he's looking like the best he's ever had today. 4.8 yards a carry. And it's the same consistent thing. 13 carries, 19 carries, 14 carries, 56 yards, 59 yards, 65 yards, 67. That's consistent, but the man should be getting more work.
Yeah.
The man should be getting more work. And that should show you've got to establish something. The first drive, you established something. The quick passes, they were working. Then what did you do the next drive? What are you doing? It's all over the place. Then in the third quarter, you start out a series with Chase Brown screen. Like, what are you doing? Chase Brown screen, loss of 3 yards?
Yeah, I think for me, it's it's there has to be a real conversation about if this team is serious about competing for a championship, what's going to what's going to do them more harm, what's going to put them in the best position to compete for a championship. And when I looked at it, man, one of Zach Taylor's best traits, they said, coming in was his ability to listen. He's a player's coach and adapt. Well, that needs to happen now, right? That his adaptability as a coach needs to happen now. If the Bengals, like to your point, if they're serious about winning a championship and winning the championship this year, or even in the future, like the offensive play calling has to get better. The Bengals have to put a better product on the football field, man. That's just as simple as I can say it, man. And I feel like I'm beating a dead horse to you guys sometimes, but you guys know how I always say when I sit in this chair, we're like, I'm in the media, of course. I'm an NFL insider, all this stuff like that, but like I'm also a Bengals fan at the end of the day, and I don't shy away from that. I'm critical of the team. I'm hard on the team. So I want to get to the point where we ask and answer some of your questions, guys, because I think that's important. So if you guys can do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. This is as real as it gets, man. Please do that. And you guys know we're live all the time, with the sit down. We're doing the sit down with Malik Wright. We're doing the State of the Jungle. And obviously we do these recaps every single week. Man, I'm conflicted too, man, because I was thinking about going to Arizona. I was talking to Daniel about going to Arizona for this upcoming game, man, but I don't even know if I want to go anymore, man. This is the product that they're putting on the football field, man. And, it's just downright sad, man. But let's get to some of these questions, man. Also want to remind everybody, every single week the Bengals have a game. First Star Logistics will be doing a giveaway of some sort. This week's giveaway is going to be a championship Bengals themed belt. So make sure you guys participate by following First Star Logistics on X or Twitter, and make sure you also subscribe to the First Star Logistics Media Group YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys. But Stephan, I want to get to your point. She said we need the media to ask the hard questions and make them answer. Well, there's a little bit of a conflict there because the Bengals like to kind of control the narrative, and I just don't. I think certain questions they don't allow you to ask, and I think that's just the way they sort of want it. I know that people have been brought to the side before by asking certain questions and stuff like that. So I think there's not wanting to ruffle any feathers. And Cincinnati is one of the. I mean, every team wants to control the narrative, if you will, but like it's not like a New York or something like that where if you ask the hard hitting questions, you it's whatever. It's like commended. Like Josina Anderson, she did a fantastic job. Should up asking Robert. She said, Robert Saleh, why are you so committed to Zach Wilson? It makes no sense. And she's like, without obviously with the product that he's put on the football field, I committed to him. That's a question that can never happen in Cincinnati. If you did, you'd probably be meeting with PR people in Cincinnati, and you probably get your credentials snatched. Yeah. So like, there's a reason why they can't ask those type of questions. And again, family-owned, run-owned team, and just I think the fan base for them. I feel like Cincinnati, we're very understanding, if you will. And some of these other places like New York, like Philly, like a Dallas, they're not. It's really smash mouth and really to the point. But so that's the reason why you don't get those type of questions. Somebody said, would you bring in to help this offense, Joe Brady? Or who would you bring in? I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, I love Joe Brady personally. You guys know how I feel about him. I thought he did a good job in Carolina. I thought he was scapegoated when things went south. And I think that's why I think that Joe Brady is definitely smarter, brighter than any offensive mind that we have currently in Cincinnati, to be quite honest with you. But again, it's also, do you like how does Zach feel about, like bringing somebody else in that has experience with Joe Burrow, that has that camaraderie, has that rapport with Joe Burrow to take over his role, right? And now certainly you could do that, right? Because also you got to realize Zach ain't firing Brian. Brian's his boy. He's not moving on. So like the only hope there would be Brian moves on to become a head coach. He ain't doing a lateral move. So like it's a tough sword, man. Like they've got to find the answer in-house, man, or add more cooks to the kitchen of people that can actually, I don't care what type of titles you got to make up, man. Like, senior offensive analyst or something like that, but just whatever that isn't quote unquote stepping on somebody's toes, but they got to do something different, man.
Yeah, I agree. And there's one other guy said, "Guess it's a good thing that watching live didn't happen this week." Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, man. That would have been terrible, man. Yeah, I would have.
We had a question from Pedro. He said, "Should we trade T. Higgins considering the way things are going right now?" He's obviously hurt right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Figure the health out, and
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
yeah,
I personally wouldn't do that.
yeah.
But
I wouldn't do that. I don't think it's. You got to see how you got to roll with what you have. It worked before, and I think, yeah, we'll keep that.
yeah.
So question about from Galaxy, would you shut down Joe Burrow if we don't win any more games until the bye week? If we go winless until the bye week? That was from Michael Ruffin.
I think if you lose to the Cardinals, you got to talk about shutting him down, man. He says his calf is feeling better. So what was it then? What was it? He said the calf was fine. After the game, he said the calf was fine. So
but that's the thing that real quick, let me ask you, like the part that kind of gets me frustrated, I respect was Zach Taylor. I respect Joe Burrow and everything, but they just give these robotic answers at press conferences. And that's also goes to the point that you were talking about. Even if the reporters ask them the hard hitting questions, they're not going to answer it. So that shows like they probably have respect for one another. I respect that. But yeah, that's.
Yeah, I mean, like, and it's all about how you, as a coach, how you want to answer, right? Because, you figure like Mike Tomlin, for instance, he was asked today, are there going to be changes? He said, hell yeah, there are going to be some changes after that performance against Texans. You want that transparency, man, but you're never going to get that in Cincinnati with Zach Taylor's coach. Very good at coach speak. It's one of those things like you got to read between the lines sometimes with things. Sometimes reading between the lines isn't a thing. Yeah, man, I think that like I think it's just it's weird, man. It's weird.
CY Soul said, after this 1-3 start, what are you guys' thoughts and overall feelings about the rest of the season moving forward?
Man, you got to take it 1 week by week, man. But nothing about Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Bengals make me confident right now. I did not expect them to lose to the Titans. I just be honest with you, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And was the Colts victory? Was the victory of the Rams a fluke? I don't know. Right? Was it an outlier? I don't know. Was it a thing of the Rams shot themselves in the foot with turnovers? I have no idea. But what I can tell you is that product that the Bengals put on the football field today was egregious. It was terrible. Horrible.
Victor asked, y'all get on Marvin Lewis a lot, but he fired Vance Joseph as DC after 4 bad games. 100%. How do we get a good OC now?
And let's talk about that too, man. Like it took Marvin Lewis years to finally make that move. I don't think Marvin. I think he was the first coordinator. Marvin Lewis, and I think it was Terrell Austin you're talking about. It took him years to fire, like a decade plus, to fire a coordinator in season. That just didn't happen. It was Ken Zampese and him, and probably should have moved on from a couple of other people at times and at portions. So like, yeah, I don't think at this point in the season you're going to come in and you're going to get an offensive minded guy in there that's going to be able to change your offense this season. You're not. It's gonna happen, but it's gonna have to happen in house. They're gonna have to develop some type of a plan. To be honest with you guys, I think Hugh Jackson's a better offensive mind than any of these guys that are in Cincinnati right now.
Who's creative?
Yeah,
we interviewed him, and that man, whether you love him or hate him, he put out.
I don't judge him what happened with Cleveland, man. I'll never say hey, he was a great head coach. I just talk about from offensive mind, one of the smartest offensive minds I think we've seen. To be quite honest, I mean. And we've had some interesting offensive minded coaches come through Cincinnati. Bill Lazor, who I didn't think was good. Yeah, that's just my thought.
Andrew's got a question. Is it time to start questioning Frank Pollock? Line has been abysmal most of the time he's been here. Nobody ever seems to get better.
You got to question everybody all on the offensive side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball, I have no confidence right now. Just be honest with you. People could say, "Oh, just 1 week." Nah, we have 5 year sample size. 4 years and 4 games in sample size, to tell you what we've got, man. And this is bad.
The Infinity says, not to be that guy, but when do we need to give up on the season and focus on drafting?
You never give up on the season until you're out, man. You never give up on the season until you're out. You don't wave the white flag. It seems too talented, man, and the type of dogs that they have in there, man. At the end of the day, this is what happens. The season goes through ebbs and flows, and there needs to be a point where you need to just fully dive in and try to figure out a plan forward. It's sort of like what they did when they rattled off a 10-game win streak before, and even rattled off the win streak when the year they went to Super Bowl. It was looking bad after the Chargers, the loss to the Chargers. Remember that?
Yeah.
We were at the game, and it was looking bad after that, and they were able to find a way push forward, and that's what you have to do. You don't talk about being out of it until you're out of it. So
C Griff 142 said biggest problem on the defense question mark. Can't stop the run or the inexperience in the back end.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. Definitely being able to stop the run and the experience. I think that I think this team that you see right here could be a completely different team that you see next year. I mean, at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think this defense that you see right here can be completely better towards the end of the season. I think it's all about with more reps and more experience. The defensive side of the ball really doesn't concern me as much. I think if the offenses start playing complementary football, I think you'll start to see better. Also, shout out to Brad Robbins today, man. That dude, you talk about flipping field position. This game could have got a lot uglier, if you ask me.
Booming today.
62-yard punt, man.
Yeah.
Woo. Yeah, man. That guy really showed up today. And credit to the Titans, man.
Yeah.
And Frankie75, I see you in there. You said my Titans defense, no joke. Our offense finally, well, congrats to you. Sorry that this was the game that you guys had to wake up against, man. But like, congrats to you guys. Congrats to your Titans, man. Congrats on the victory.
Someone was asking, I forgot what the question was, but who was your the best player on defense for the Bengals today?
The best player on defense for the Bengals today, was it Sam Hubbard?
I would say Sam. Even BJ Hill today.
BJ Hill played great, man.
Yeah, I think BJ Hill played great, and same thing.
I predicted Dax Hill was gonna get another interception, man.
And he did.
He got one. So.
And that's where last thing I'll say about that is when the offense looks better, the defense is showing flashes. Yeah. It's showing a lot more flashes than the offense. Like defensive line looks great at times. The safeties look great at times. So I think with the better offense, we'll definitely see. DJ USA said, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. If we stink this year, we can draft Brock Bowers next year and finally get a tight end.
I don't even know if they do that, honestly.
I mean, but the tight end position still, what's your thoughts on the tight end position right now?
Listen, okay, I'm gonna be real with you guys right now. If you have to like the tight end position, everybody's like, oh, the Bengals don't value tight end position, yada yada. I understand that, right? But today's day and age, the tight end position is still a position that the league is trying to figure out how to cover. It's the reason why you have the opportunity to draft some of these unicorns. You go out there and what do? You draft some of these unicorns, right? For me, I'd much rather have a quote-unquote elite tight end or a dual tight end that could receive the ball than a three-headed monster receiver. I'd rather have Jamar Chase, a very good tight end, and obviously, you still have the depth at receiver. You still have people that can contribute, like an Andre Yoshivas. That's just me. I personally rather have because the tight end position you can't scheme for.
Yeah.
If you have a really dominant tight end like a George Kittle or like a Mark Andrews or like so on and so forth, like it changes the entire dynamic of the game. So that's just my opinion. I know I'm probably on an island by myself. That has nothing to do with T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, nothing personal. Just be honest. For me personally, I'd be okay with having an elite receiver, an elite tight end, and spend that money elsewhere. That's where my opinion would be personally.
Mr. Ohio said, should the Bengals just run the ball until they are forced to throw it? ?
No, I think they can, but they should commit to the run to set up the passing game. And I think a lot of things will work a little easier for them because Joe Mixon was cooking today.
Yeah, Joe was definitely cooking. The mighty HC said, is Jake Browning better than a 50% Burrow?
I've got yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah. I'll just say I'm not a fan of Jake Browning. That's just my opinion. Just keeping it real with you.
And then even on the flip side too, right now, like Burrow's just not playing. Like there's part of the blame still has got to go on Burrow, right? Burrow's throwing balls away. Burrow, like he's not looking good. So we got a good question here. He's from Pedro. He said, are players already turning on Zach? I don't think players are turning on Zach. I think they're just frustrated.
I think they're frustrated. They're frustrated with losing, man. They're not used to it, right? So this got to be the game where you right here, this game coming up right here is the game where you got to figure it out. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Miles Murphy with the sack. Glad to see it. What was your thoughts on Miles Murphy today?
I think Miles Murphy's getting stronger with each and every single week. I didn't get the backlash out. Like it's only 4 weeks into the season, man. Like this is a guy that was drafted back in. This guy was, he was slated to be a top first round pick, before top 15. And then they experienced coaching and everybody on that Clemson defense took a step back. Brian Breesy, he did. A bunch of guys took a step back. So I thought with Marion Hobby getting his hands on him, you would start to see flashes. And that's all you could ask for, right? You would want to see flashes from the first round pick. It's almost like how we all all thought Dax Hill. Now, I never thought Dax Hill was terrible,
Yep.
but how people thought Dax Hill was going to be a terrible safety and all this kind of stuff like that. It's like these guys got to go through reps. These guys got to get the experience, and then we can judge them accordingly.
Yeah, Victor Pat said when Joe Burrow was 100% healthy, he covered up a weak offensive coaching. I think that's a great point.
100%. Every elite quarterback does.
Yeah.
Every elite quarterback does. Like every elite quarterback covers up the ineptitude from an offensive standpoint. Like Tom Brady probably covered up a lot of Josh McDaniels' deficiencies, and so on and so forth. Aaron Rodgers covered up a lot for Matt LaFleur. Now I think Matt LaFleur is getting better. I think Drew Brees covered up a lot for Sean Payton. And but I think with time, the hope is the coaching will start to mesh with the skill level of your quarterback. And I think that's something you have to be hopeful for, that, because that we're tied to Zach Taylor. I mean, the coach staff ain't firing him. They're like, first time the Bengals made a Super Bowl since the 80s. They ain't firing him. He's not going nowhere. So the hope is that Zach Taylor, if he's going to continue to be the guy that, hey, I'm going to, I'm going to always call plays, then you hope to see the maturation, the evolution in Zach Taylor as a play caller. So far, we haven't seen that.
I think that's a disappointing thing, because you look at when these quarterbacks leave the offense, like Eric Bieniemy looks great. Matt LaFleur even's got some nice packages. Josh McDaniels even doing some decent things. So you'd hope to see a little more progression.
All I'm going to say is that it's something that's not talked about enough. Like Eric Bieniemy got a lot of heat, man, for, quote unquote, is he the play caller in KC or not? But KC's offense has not looked the same since he left. Now, it could be because they lost other weapons and stuff like that, but it's crazy. He went to Washington and Sam Howell's playing the way he's playing in spurts.
Yeah.
I'll say. Because at the end of the day, he's not good.
Yeah. Michael Ruffin said, when do you pull Nick Scott? Big hits are nice, but
I
leaving.
would do it now.
Really?
I would do it now. Yeah. Give Jordan Battle. Jordan Battle's the future there, man.
Yeah.
Stop playing around. Put Jordan Battle in there. Let Jordan Battle play, man. Jordan Battle has a lot to offer.
Yeah. I think if you even just swap the roles, have Nick Scott be the guy that comes in on packages. Pedro's asking, what is more likely, T or Tyler Boyd staying next season?
That's a good question. I think with the agent that I think T Higgins. I think you franchise tag T Higgins. That's probably what was probably the most likely.
Yeah. Nathan said, like to think that we could stop the run and play action. Like it's discipline, which can be corrected. What about the offensive line, though? I like to think we were a couple moves away, like the Bucs were a couple years ago.
I still think the Bengals offensive line is actually good. I do. I know Cordell Wilson is struggling. I think the offensive line is. I think this offensive line is substantially better than the offensive line the Bengals went to the Super Bowl with, and I think you can win with this offensive line. I think this comes down to coaching. I think the coaching does not do anything to help the offensive line. That's what I think.
Andrew's saying, what was your thoughts on the chase? I'm open. I'm always effing open. So
he is. He's an elite wide receiver. It's like Justin Jefferson. People like Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase. They have the reason to be pissed, right?
Yeah.
They have a reason to be, because, if you're not giving those guys a chance, then what are you doing? You go out there and you draft a guy like the way he is because for that reason, because you do know, even if they're covered, they are open. How many times have we seen Jamar Chase win 50-50 balls? So give him a chance. I don't know what's going on with Joe Burrow mentally to where he's not giving Jamar Chase more chances, but that's got to change.
Yeah, if you want to go over to a couple more real quick. Akila the Great.
By the way, we appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Guys, it's 176 people in this chat right now. I don't ask for much. Do me a favor. Give us a like. We only got 30 likes. Give us a like on this video. Let's get this up to 100 plus likes, and subscribe to the YouTube channel while you're here. We appreciate it. We have a goal. We're trying to hit like 10K, and we can't do it without you guys. Appreciate you.
And it's simple. Like, this is the point where you guys can vent. This is what we're doing. This is why we're sitting in the chairs.
No super chats, none of that. You guys ask questions. We love answering. We love talking with you guys. Again, I consider myself the Bengals therapist almost.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that you guys talk to when you sort of want to, when you want to vent, man. And that's what we all do. We come here after every single Bengals game and we vent together. We talk about everything.
Akila the Great said, some people were saying that we were winning in spite of Brian Callen and Zach Taylor, not because of them. What's your guys' thoughts on this?
I agree. I mean, it kind of goes back to the point. Joe Burrow masked a lot of deficiencies. Jamar Chase masked a lot of listen, Jamar Chase, T Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Burrow, that is an elite group, right? There's no reason why you can't why they won't try to mask some of your deficiencies as a coach. And I think that they've done more to help Zach than the opposite. I think when the Bengals made that change to go to the Super Bowl, remember when they let Joe Burrow have more control at the line, he start making changes and stuff like that. Even that right. Remember something that was very crucial that I remember. You probably don't remember this, Daniel,
Yeah.
but there was an interview where Zach Taylor, when the Bengals faced the Vikings to open up the season, Joe Burrow was coming off the ACL injury. Zach Taylor wouldn't kept being conservative, essentially, kept letting Joe Burrow kept handing the ball off, handling the ball off, right? And it got to a point where the game was close, and Joe Burrow called an audible that was not approved by Zach Taylor. I don't know if people knew that. He called an audible, and he had CJ Uzomah sneaking past the defense, behind the defense, and up the sideline. Joe Burrow audible to that play. The Bengals went on to beat the Minnesota Vikings opening day in Cincinnati. That was when Jamar Chase had that big bomb up the sideline his rookie year. Bengals went on to win that game. I don't know if people remember the next week what happened, but the Bengals went to Chicago to take on the Bears, and Zach Taylor put out a very conservative game plan. And we wound up losing to Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, and the Bears. But we came back sort of in the second half after being dominated because Joe Burrow basically started making audibles and checks to the line, and they basically started playing backyard football. That's what needs to happen. You need to say respectfully. You need to say, well, screw whatever that is. Like, we're going back to what we knew what worked, because clearly what they're calling right now, they're trying to do well they're trying to do right by following the game plan, following the script. It's almost like what Aaron Rodgers was doing when he first tried to get him to play within a system. He said, man, screw this. I'm going to start calling audibles and making plays happen for myself. Sometimes, the coaches know what they're doing, but sometimes they don't. And you can kind of check the temperature. If you have a quarterback that is smart enough, that is quote unquote elite, you can make things happen. And I think at some point, Zach Taylor's got to just let Joe Burrow cook. Matter of fact, Joe Burrow's just got to cook. He's got to do what he's got to do.
Yeah. Massey Flips said, real quick, what's you guys' updated record prediction?
Massey, I'm gonna talk about that more in State of the Jungle, bro. I just can't. This is pretty much just more so just to do a recap with the fans, man, and just talk about the game, man. But do we got anything other questions?
I think that's pretty much it.
All right, guys. We appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. We want to let you guys get to your Sunday Night Football. Appreciate you guys venting with us and talking with us, man.
Yeah.
Bengals got to get it together, man, and I think it all starts with the coaching staff, man. It starts with the coaching staff, and it needs to change now. So appreciate you guys so much for tuning in to the Sit Down with Malik Wright. I'll be back later this week, State of the Jungle, the Sit Down with Malik Wright, and we'll be breaking everything down. I do think the Bengals will bounce back against the Cardinals, though, Daniel.
Yeah,
I do.
I think so.
I think the Bengals will bounce back against the Cardinals. I really do. But until next time,